Hi everyone, welcome to this channel. Please kindly click the subscribe icon to get notified whenever I release new videos. Thank you. In the heart of Africa lay the village of Elikana, a place where the land was rich and the people richer in spirit. The village flourished in agriculture, fishing, cattle rearing, and blacksmithing, with every corner teeming with life and laughter. The fields stretched out in a patchwork of green and gold, tended by families who had passed down the secrets of cultivation through generations. The river that bordered the village was a shimmering ribbon, its waters abundant with fish, and the cattle roamed freely in the vast pastures, their bells tinkling softly in the breeze. Elikana was a community where every skill was valued and every family respected. The blacksmiths, with their roaring forges, provided tools that were the backbone of the village's industries. Festivals were a regular occurrence, celebrating everything from harvest to the changing seasons. The annual harvest festival was the grandest of all, a time when the village came together to share the bounty of their labor and to revel in music, dance, and friendly competitions. Among the many young hearts in Elikana, love bloomed as naturally as the crops in the fields. The youths of the village participated eagerly in the activities that marked their culture. Wrestling matches were held under the great baobab tree, with spectators cheering for their favorites. The swimming competitions in the river were a test of both skill and bravery, and the cooking competitions showcased the culinary talents of the village's young women and men. In this vibrant community lived a humble couple, Adamu and Amina. They were simple folk, often ridiculed by others for their modesty and unassuming nature. Adamu was a farmer and Amina a fisherwoman, and together they lived a quiet life on the outskirts of the village. Despite the mockery they sometimes faced, they were content, finding joy in each other's company and in the simple pleasure of life. The harvest festival was approaching and excitement buzzed in the air. The village square was a flurry of activity, with stalls being set up and decorations being hung. Adamu and Amina, as always, worked diligently to prepare for the festivities. Adamu's crops were among the finest, and Amina's catches were the freshest. Yet they remained humble, never seeking the spotlight. As the festival day dawned, the village gathered in the square, their faces glowing with anticipation. The air was filled with sounds of laughter and music, and the delicious aroma of food wafted through the air. Competitions began in earnest, with wrestling bouts drawing enthusiastic crowds, and the cooking contest showcasing an array of mouth-watering dishes. In the midst of the celebrations, Adamu and Amina moved quietly, contributing their share and enjoying the festivities from the sidelines. They watched as the village youth engaged in friendly rivalries. Their spirits high and their bonds strengthened. Love and friendship were palpable in the air, and for a moment it seemed as though nothing could ever disrupt the harmony of Elikana. But fate, often capricious, had other plans. As the sun set on the joyous festival, a shadow loomed on the horizon, a harbinger of the trials that were to come. The death of King Okechi, beloved ruler of Elikana, would soon cast a pall over the village, setting the stage for conflict and testing the very fabric of their unity. The village of Elikana was plunged into mourning with the sudden death of King Okechi. He had been a wise and benevolent ruler, guiding the village with a steady hand and a compassionate heart. His passing left a void that was deeply felt by every villager. The once bustling and cheerful square now echoed with somber whispers and quiet tears. Blacksmith forges grew cold, fields were left untended, and the fishing nets lay untouched on the riverbanks. In the wake of the king's death, the village elders convened to discuss the future leadership of Elikana. However, what should have been a straightforward decision turned into a battleground of egos and ambitions. King Okechi's family, previously united, was now torn apart by greed and jealousy. Each member believed they were the rightful heir, and their disputes spilled over into the village, creating factions and sowing discord. The village, once a harmonious blend of shared purpose and community spirit, began to fracture. Productivity waned as arguments and rivalries took precedence over daily chores. Fields of crops that once thrived were now neglected, their yields dwindling with each passing day. The river's bounty seemed to diminish, and the cattle roamed aimlessly, lacking the care they once received. In the midst of this turmoil, Adamu and Amina remained a beacon of steadfastness. Despite the ridicule they often faced, they continued their work with quiet determination. Adamu tended to his fields diligently, and Amina still rose early to cast a net into the river. Their home, though modest, became a sanctuary of peace amidst the chaos that engulfed Elikana. As the weeks turned into months and situations grew dire, the village stores of food began to deplete. And whispers of famine spread like wildfire. The once vibrant community now faced the grim reality of hunger. Desperation hung in the air, and with it came fear and mistrust. The elders, struggling to maintain order, called upon the villagers to come together, but their words fell on deaf ears. The factions within the village were too deeply entrenched, and cooperation seemed like a distant memory. The elders themselves were divided, their authority undermined by the very conflict they sought to resolve. Amidst the rising tension, Adamu and Amina's simple yet profound love for their village drove them to act. They had quietly prepared for such an eventually storing away portions of their harvest and catches, planning for times of need. Their foresight, born out of a deep connection to the land and its cycles, now became the village's glimmer of hope. As hunger gnawed at the villagers, Adamu and Amina opened their home, sharing the stores with those in need, initially met with skepticism. Their generosity soon won over even the most doubtful. Families that had once ridiculed them now stood in line, grateful for the sustenance that kept them going. Yet, as words of their selflessness spread, so did envy and resentment. Some villagers, driven by desperation and jealousy, began to murmur against them. Threats were whispered in the dark, and the couple found themselves the target of growing hostility. Their acts of kindness, instead of uniting the village, seemed to be tearing it further apart. But Adamu and Amina, undeterred, continued their mission. They believed in the goodness of their fellow villagers and the strength of community. As they distributed food, they spoke of unity, of the need to come together in times of hardship. Slowly, their words began to take root, and a small but growing group of villagers rallied around them, choosing cooperation over conflict. In the heart of adversity, the true character of Elikana's people began to shine through, despite looming threats and the darkness that surrounded them. Adamu and Amina's unwavering spirit sparked a glimmer of hope. The stage was set for a reckoning, one that would test the very soul of the village and determine its future. As the famine tightened its grip on Elikana, the village teetered on the brink of collapse. Adamu and Amina's food stores had become the lifeline for many, but envy and desperation simmered beneath the surface. One moonless night, a group of villagers, driven by hunger and jealousy, conspired to raid the couple's home. Their leader, a bitter man named Kwaku, believed that Adamu and Amina were hoarding more than they shared. Whispers of the raid reached the couple's ears, and they prepared for the worst. As darkness fell, the conspirators approached, their shadows creeping closer. Adamu and Amina, resolute, barred their door, hearts pounding with fear yet steadfast in their resolve. The attackers pounded on the door, demanding the food, their voices filled with desperation. Suddenly, a flicker of light appeared as the loyal villagers, those who had found hope in Adamu and Amina's generosity, arrived with torches, led by the village elder. They confronted the raiders. A tense standoff ensued. The air thick with suspense. Words of reason clashed with cries of despair, but eventually Kwaku and his followers, faced with the unity of the others, retreated. In the aftermath, the village elders realized the peril of their division. Adamu and Amina's bravery had not only saved the food but also rekindled a sense of community. However, the threat of famine still loomed, and the real test of the unity was yet to come. In the wake of the failed raid, the village elders gathered, realizing that Elikana's survival hinged on unity. Adamu and Amina, though exhausted, continued to share their dwindling supplies, their home now a beacon of hope. The villagers, inspired by their unwavering resolve, began to cooperate, pooling their meager resources. As the days grew bleaker, whispers of a hidden valley, rich in resources, spread through the village. Desperation led the elders to consider the perilous journey, and Adamu and Amina volunteered to lead a small expedition. With the dawn, they set out, a mix of hope and dread in their hearts. The journey was fraught with danger. They traversed rocky terrains and dense forests, each step more hurdles than the last. One night, as they camped under the stars, a sudden rustling in the bushes sent chills down their spines. Eyes glowed in the darkness. A pack of wolves had found them. Suspense gripped in the group as they faced the predators with makeshift weapons. The wolves lunged, and a fierce battle ensued. Adamu and Amina fought valiantly, their courage unwavering. Finally, the pack retreated, leaving the group battered but alive. With their strength nearly spent, they pushed onward, the promise of the hidden valley their only guiding light. Weary but resolute, the expedition pressed on. As dawn broke on the fifth day, they stumbled upon the hidden valley, a lush expanse brimming with untapped resources. Streams steamed with fish, and fertile land stretched as far as the eye could see. Their hearts soared with relief and hope. Returning to Elikana with news of their discovery, Adamu and Amina were greeted as heroes. The village mobilized, and groups set out to harvest the valley's bounty. Within weeks, the famine's grip loosened, and the villagers' spirits lifted. Food stores swelled once more, and the shadow of hunger faded. Recognizing Adamu and Amina's selflessness and courage, the elders called a special gathering. The villagers, united and grateful, crowned them as the new king and queen of Elikana. Under their leadership, reforms were introduced to prevent future crises. Communal storage systems were established, and the spirit of cooperation was enshrined in the village traditions. The annual Harvest Festival returned with renewed vigor, celebrating not just the bounty of the land, but the strength of community and resilience. Adamu and Amina, once ridiculed, now reigned with wisdom and compassion, ensuring Elikana's prosperity for generations to come. The village, united and thriving, stood as a testament to the power of unity and foresight.